This video contains scenes that some viewers may find disturbing. Phobia, Greek for fear or morbid fear, is a type of anxiety disorder, usually defined as a persistent fear of an object or situation in which the sufferer commits to great lengths in avoiding. In our community today, some people see phobias as jokes and make fun of people who have them, like what Mr. Cross showed us.
I have a fear of awkward silences. I should have told you guys. I'm sorry.
This is largely due to the sheer amount of phobias that are in existence, with lists laughably long, and some of the phobias really hard to pronounce. But this is not a laughing matter. In the event the phobia cannot be avoided entirely, the sufferer will endure the situation or object with marked distress and significant interference in social or occupational activities. There are three subdivisions of phobias: social phobia, specific phobia, and agoraphobia. There are sometimes two different types of social phobia. People with generalized social phobia have a great distress in a wide range of social situations. Those with specific social phobia may experience anxiety in a few situations. Specific phobias are the fear of single specific panic triggers, such as spiders, snakes, dogs, wind, water, heights, flying, catching a specific illness, etc. Many people have these fears, but to a lesser degree than those who suffer from specific phobias. People with the phobia specifically avoid the entity of their fear. At a glance, agoraphobia may seem a lot similar to social phobia, but it is a generalized fear of leaving home or a small, familiar, safe area, and of possible panic attacks that might follow. It may also be caused by various specific phobias, such as fear of open spaces, social embarrassment, and fear of contamination. It is also possibly complicated by obsessive-compulsive disorder or post-traumatic stress disorder. Scientists have determined three ways of acquiring a phobia. The first one is when an aversion stimulus and a neutral one are paired together. For another example, when you ring a bell for a dog to come to you for food, it'll start coming to you whenever you ring a bell. Another example of this is to tell you the story of how I received my phobia. I was snorkeling in the river one day, having fun. I was about 9 years old, and I turned the corner into some reeds, and then BAM! This thing bit down on my goggles. I now have a phobia known as thalassophobia, which is actually not a fear of turtles, but is the fear of the sea. More specifically, the things that I imagine to be under the sea. While you guys are having fun swimming in this, all I can think about is this. The next way is learning to fear something, not by a subject's own experience of fear, but by watching others react fearfully. For instance, when a child sees a parent react fearfully to an animal, the child can become afraid of that animal as well. The last way of getting a fear is by learning to fear something by getting information. So like your parents tell you to stay away from strangers, horror movies can scare us into being paranoid about what can be in the dark, and documentaries like Shark Week and things on Animal Planet that tell us how deadly some animals are. Alright, time to get sciencey about it. Beneath the lateral tissue in the cerebral cortex, the insula of the brain has been identified as part of the limbic system, along with cingulated gyrus, hippocampus, corpus callosum, and other nearby cortices. This system has been found to play a role in emotion processing, and the insula, in particular, may contribute through its role in maintaining autonomic functions. In the frontal lobes, other cortices involved with phobia and fear are the anterior cingulate cortex and the medial prefrontal cortex. In the processing of emotional stimuli, studies of phobic reactions to facial expressions have indicated these areas to be involved in processing and responding to negative stimuli. The ventromedial prefrontal cortex has been said to influence the amygdala by monitoring its reaction to emotional stimuli or even fearful memories. Most specifically, the medial prefrontal cortex is active during the extinction of fear and is responsible for long-term extinction. Stimulation of this area decreases conditioned fear responses, and so its role may be in inhibiting the amygdala and its reaction to fearful stimuli. The hippocampus is a horseshoe-shaped structure that plays an important part in the brain's limbic system because of its role in forming memories and connecting them with emotions and senses. When dealing with fear, the hippocampus receives impulses from the amygdala that allows it to connect the fear with a certain sense, such as smell or sound. The amygdala is an almond-shaped mass of nuclei that is located deep in the brain's medial temporal lobe. It processes the events associated with fear and is being linked to anxiety disorders and social phobias. The amygdala's ability to respond to fearful stimuli occurs through a process of fear conditioning. The amygdala learns to associate a conditioned stimulus with a negative or avoidance stimulus, creating a conditioned fear response that is often seen in phobic individuals. In this way, the amygdala is responsible for not only recognizing certain stimuli or cues as dangerous, but plays a role in the storage of threatening stimuli to memory. Living with a phobia can be hard, yet to make certain situations benefit you. It can be hard to find a job, hard to make friends, hard to go outside and enjoy the life that is worth living. But there is a way to cure it. Various methods are claimed to treat phobias. Some therapists use virtual reality or imagery exercise to desensitize patients to the feared entity. These are parts of systematic desensitization therapy. This is a form of counter-conditioning. The first step of systematic desensitization is the identification of an anxiety-inducing stimulus hierarchy. The second step is the learning of relaxation or coping techniques. Once the individual has been taught these skills, he or she must use them to overcome situations in the established hierarchy of fears. The goal of this process is for the individual to learn how to cope with and overcome the fear in each step of the hierarchy.